Welcome everyone. So my name is Cat Kinnerman. So I'm the director of indirect lending. All that means is we do loans, we buy a car at a dealership. Jason is our manager of sales and funding. So we've been in the car business for 50 years combined. I'm not that old, but combined 50 years and 25 years at Ent, doing the same thing. So we have a lot of experience in car buying, dealerships. If it's happened, we probably have experienced or worked on that problem. So if you have lots of questions, if you have any specific questions, ask us. Hopefully have an answer for you. Why are we doing it on car buying? Car buying is the second or third largest purchase of your life. We used to say second, but student loans is overtaking car buying. So student loans is probably second in most people's lives, and car buying is your third largest purchase. So there's a lot that can go wrong and cost you lots of money. So we're going to try to save you $2,000 to $3,000 if you're looking to purchase a new car, just by doing some simple techniques and doing some research. The other reason is car buying is a big industry. So in Colorado, in August, $1.2 billion in car buying. Colorado, we're a small state. When you take Texas or California, it's ridiculous. In the United States, $1.2 trillion in car buying. It's an astronomical number. We can't even fathom how many zeros that is. So lots of people buying lots of cars. We're hoping we can save them some money. So I asked a few people earlier, how many people have bought a car? So we got one. And we got one that's looking, and maybe you were along with the parents when they bought their car, and you went through that terrible experience. Well, we'll tell you right up, it's not a great experience. It's not like buying anything else in a retail store. When you go in, there's a price, or there's a sales price. You give them the money, you buy the item, and you're good to go. Car buying is not like that. Everything is a negotiation. From the selling price, to the trade-in, to the interest rate, everything, even the warranty. Everything can be negotiated at a car dealership. And if you're willing to say yes right away, you're going to pay full price for that, or over full price. They'll take whatever you have. So there's lots to lose. I'll go over the first part. How much car, how much can you afford, what your budget should be. So the industry standard for a loan is 15% of your gross income. That's the most you're probably going to get a loan for. As in most things, if it's the most, don't spend the most. Stick within a reasonable budget, but give yourself a starting point. But the important thing is don't look at the payment as the only way that you pick your vehicle up. The last 20 years, the average person walking in the dealership still says the same thing. How much of a car do you want? A 250 payment. That 250 payment didn't exist 20 years ago, and probably doesn't exist anymore today. But people still want that 250 payment because it's a nice, affordable car payment. Let's do the math on a 250 car payment. 250 car payment for a 5-year loan with good credit, you're going to be looking at a $13,000 loan. Okay, so if you walk into the dealership and you say, hey, I want to get a 250 payment, they're going to probably show you a nicer car than you're expecting. Because it's going to look newer, it's going to have more features, they have lower miles if you're looking at a used car. Something about it is going to be like, get you excited. I'm buying an awfully nice car for $250 a month. The reason I say don't go for the payment is because that $250 payment that you're thinking of in the dealership side of it is not a 60-month loan. Maybe it's a 72-month loan or an 84-month loan. So what does that do to your budget? We're smart, right in the head, you said, I'm going to spend $13,000, but you got caught in that payment. But that payment on an 84-month loan is actually $18,000 car. So you just went and spent $5,000 more without even realizing it because you still stuck to your 250 payment. But it's a loan, so there's interest. So 250 times 84 months is more than $18,000. With interest, it's $21,000. So right off the bat, thinking just for that one moment that you want to get a 250 payment and looking at nothing else, you can spend $8,000 more than you expected in a couple hours. And you think back of how long it takes someone to save $500 or $1,000 or $8,000, slowing down, looking at the whole process ahead of time can save you that $8,000 and get you in the right car at the right budget versus just going with the excitement and spending a heck of a lot more money forever.
Okay, so we're talking about bits and pieces of the car buying process. So he talked about payment and a little bit of purchase price. Trade-in value. A lot of us have a car. Maybe it's junker, maybe it's not. Doesn't really matter. But that is another place that you can save money. So a lot of people think their car is worth retail. I'm telling you, it is not. Or at a dealership, the rule of thumb is $2,000 to $3,000 under wholesale. Because what they're going to tell you is you still Kool-Aid in the back, there's a dent in the back, there's scratches, and it's got too many miles, I can't sell this thing. Right? They're a for-profit organization. They're going to run it through the shop and either put it on the lot or get rid of it. They're not going to give you full retail. You know, your option is you can go sell it on Craigslist if you want to go do that. So you need to know the value of your car. You can do that through nada.com, nada.com, or kelly.com. It'll give you wholesale, trade-in, retail. That wholesale number minus a couple grand. So if that gets you to zero, that's what it's worth. It's probably not worth anything to the dealership. It's going to cost them money to get someone to come take it away. So that's the second piece of your argument. Purchase price. If it sounds too good to be true, it definitely is. So if you are buying private party, so let's say you're buying on Craigslist or Auto Trader or whatever it is, and you've been looking at Camrys, and they're $20,000, but this one is $12,000. I'm telling you, it could be an internet scam. We see them all the time. People get excited. Oh my God, it's $12,000. All they want you to do is wire $1,000 to them. Well, you know what? That car probably doesn't exist. The other thing is, okay, maybe that person does have the car and they're selling it for $12 grand. Why are they selling it for 12 and not 20 what it's worth? There's probably something wrong with it. Could have been in an accident and been repaired. Could have been in a flood. There's a million things that could be wrong with that car. You need to do your research. Even at a dealership, it can be a great price. You need to ask yourself, why is that price so low compared to the other cars? At a dealership, there is something called a Carfax that will tell you the history of that car. It will tell you if it's been in a wreck. The insurance companies report that. If it's been in a flood, a hurricane, whatever, those cars, the value of those cars are worth less. So they're selling it for less. And there's a reason they're doing that. So, dealerships. If you haven't bought a car at a dealership, they all have dealer handling. And it's anywhere from $0 to $800. The average is probably $699 for the privilege of buying a car at a dealership. They'll have little signs up that will say additional dealer profit. They have to by law. They'll be posted around the dealership. So that is added to the price of the car when you're buying it at a dealership. So you need to think about that. Get pre-approved. This is an important piece of it also. So you know what the purchase price is, you know what the trade value is, you know that there's going to be some extra costs. The pre-approval will tell you what the credit score is. So maybe you get pre-approved for $20,000 at 5% because you got decent credit. You go to the dealership and they say, hey, I can get you done at 7. Well, you already know you can get a better deal wherever you got pre-approved at. Could be Ent, it could be Wells Fargo, wherever you bank at. Get pre-approved, it lets you know what you can afford, and also lets you know what your interest rate is. Because sometimes the dealer will say, hey, I need 4%, because they have access to more lenders than just the one that you got pre-approved at. Well, you won't know 4% is a good rate until you get pre-approved, because you've got to know what your baseline is. And then do your research. Very, very, very important. I mean, if there's one thing you take away, do your research online, because the internet price at most dealerships is their lowest price for the most part. Because there's so many dealers out there, they need you to come into that dealership, right? If their price is too high, you're just gonna go to the next person who's selling a similar car. So that is normally their lowest price. But that is not how most people buy a car. Most people get excited for whatever reason, they go straight to the dealership. Oh my God, that red pickup truck is what I always wanted. And the salesperson is gonna get you excited about that red pickup truck. It has leather, it has navigation, everything you ever wanted, Bluetooth, and they sell you on that, and they make you forget about the selling price and the trade-in and the interest rate because you're so focused on that new car. Since you went straight to the dealership, you haven't done any research. So you don't really know what the value of that truck is. You have nothing to compare it to. So now you're taking the word of the salesperson at the dealership. Knowledge is power. So do your research online.
Picking your car. This is kind of fun. You know, we're going to talk about the budget because we're lenders, and we see people get in trouble with how much they car they want. It's just one of those things. So how does the dealership, or not, how does the bank look at what you can borrow for money? So you look at your payment to income, which is important, that 15% rule. But overall, how much debt do you have as a person? And by that rule, they're looking at your major debts, your rent, or your mortgage payment, what you're paying for credit card debt, what you're paying for the student loans, and then your car. And all that can't go above 50% of your gross income. So you start running out of money really quick. So why we're saying if you can get 15% payment approval, doesn't mean you necessarily want to go there. So that 15% is just one tiny part of owning a car. So 15% seems low to a lot of people. It's your major transportation. It's your freedom. It's how you get to work. It's how you get to school. It's how you get to your friend's house. 15% doesn't seem like a lot. But in reality, when you look at how much a car costs to own, it gets really expensive because you have things that you have to do if you own a car. You have to have insurance. $100 a month, really easy starting point. It goes up really quick. God forbid you have any kind of a situation that makes that go really expensive. But then things like gas. How much does gas cost? Gas is super cheap. A gallon of gas is cheaper than Starbucks. It's cheaper than buying a gallon of milk, but we drive a lot of miles. On average, nationwide, 12,000 miles a year. How much does that cost you to drive month to month? If you're driving a car that's 15 miles per gallon, SUV, the pickup truck he's talking about, that's $200 a month just in gas. Now, if you get a little bit better gas mileage vehicle, 25 miles per gallon, it drops down to 120, $80 more in your pocket that you don't really think about as your expenses. And then, as you brought up earlier, even if you own your car outright, you still got to take care of it. Oil changes. You have a used car. It's got miles on it. Which means those little black circles on the bottom are wearing out. You know how much fun it is to go to Costco and pay $800 for tires? It is not fun. It's way more fun to go get an 8-inch TV. I haven't done that yet. But I bought tires at Costco. It's not fun. So those are just part of the cost to go along with it. That's why when we say you have a budget on this, you have to look at the entire cost of the vehicle. The other thing is to look at is what you actually need your vehicle to do. A lot of people get excited on the what ifs. You know, I need a bigger vehicle because I want to take my friends out when we go to the movies or we go to a restaurant or family comes and visits. A lot of people at this school from out of state, people are going to come visit. If they're going to come visit, don't buy a car for their one visit a year. Have them rent a car for that one visit a year. Buy a car for your own needs. Big thing here in Colorado. People come here for mountains and skiing. So people think, I need to have an SUV, I need four-wheel drive to get around. If you haven't been in Colorado Springs yet, at winter, it snows about 3 times here. The roads are fine in the winter. So you don't need to have all-wheel drive, four-wheel drive. If you're like me and you go snowboarding every weekend, a little bit different. I go to the mountains where the snow is. I have a four-wheel drive. Those you want to look at what your actual needs are and not the what if. Look at the 90% rule. What am I going to do with this vehicle 90% of the time? What do I need it to do? Don't get caught up on little what ifs because that's where you can start spending a lot more money for very little return.
When's first need? So most people who go into the dealership, they're looking for luxury features. They're looking for nav, leather, heated seats, Some cars have massaging driver seats. I mean, just ridiculous amount of stuff that they put in the cars. Very, very expensive. I mean, you're talking tens of thousands of dollars to get those features. And we were talking about the Ford F-150. The average price of F-150, $42,000. $42,000. Yeah, but it starts at 28. What does it go to? 70,000. Like, how is that even possible? So they start with the same truck, and they add so many features to it that it doubles and triples its price. That's kind of what they're doing today, is they suck you in, you get excited, maybe they switch you to a little bit less car, but they got you into the dealership. Speed and size. So he talked a little bit about, having a four-wheel drive. I'm going to use him as an example. So he bought an Expedition, so he could go camping. He bought a little pop-up, bought a little bit bigger trailer, and he bought the Expedition. Well, how many times do you think they go camping? 3 times a year. Who drives that? His wife drove it every day to work. Can you imagine? I mean, that thing's getting 10 miles to the gallon or 12 miles to the gallon as a daily commuter because they go camping 3 times. Thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. Speed. People watch the Fast and Furious movie, and then they want to go buy a WRX, something fast. But what they don't realize is, okay, maybe you buy that car used for $400 payment. The insurance is going to be more than your payment. So now you have a $400 payment and you have $400 in insurance because it's got a 450 horsepower motor, and they're expecting you to get speeding tickets and wrap it around the pole. Probably. What do people really need? Reliable transportation. I mean, you can get really good deals. I mean, I always bring up the Altima. It's a rental car, right? There's a million of them. They're all white and silver. Now you're going to go out and that's all you're going to see, white and silver Altimas. But it's a rental car. It's just a standard sedan. Pretty nice. Pretty loaded. You can buy like a 2 or 3 year old one for $10,000 or $12,000. That thing will probably last you 10 years with very little maintenance. Right? So what do you really need? Payments. So the average term that people are going on cars, 76 months. 76 months. What do you think the average trade cycle is? How many months before someone trades in their car? Just take a guess. It's 28 months. So you bought this car because it's your forever car, it's the greatest thing since sliced bread, but you know what, like everything else, something new comes out every year, and that world's greatest car is now just a used car. And then within 28 months, the average person is going to trade that car in. You're going to pay for sales tax again, you're going to pay for dealer handling again, all the depreciation from that car, it's just a cycle. Get the lowest term that you can afford. Because of that trade cycle, and you'll pay less interest. The affordable insurance goes with whatever you're buying. What I would suggest before you buy, call your agent and find out estimate of what that's going to cost you. SUV is going to cost you more than a sedan. WRX is going to cost more than everything. It's just the reality of life.
Back to the new versus used. So everyone likes the new one. New nice. New's got the best safety. It's got the best everything. Nothing's going to go wrong with it. It's a brand new vehicle. They pay a fortune for it because of depreciation. Depreciation is a part that people don't usually look at very often. How much is that car going to drop in value today and drive it off the lot? Well, here's the thing is, you can find out pretty quick. You can look up your brand new, look at the F-150, say it costs $42,000. And you look up the used F-150 that's 2 years old, and see how much cheaper it is. So on average, brand new car, nationwide average, $37,000. Very expensive for an average vehicle. But the average used car is $22,000. It's $15,000 you save by letting someone else drive it for the first couple of years. Now you're going to have to look at a couple of different things. You may have to look at having a vehicle that doesn't have as much warranty left, or you may have a little more maintenance to it. But if you save 15 grand, pretty good savings. New cars, you have specials like rebates. We always see rebates. End of the year, you see all kinds of specials. Well, rebates aren't really what people expect them to be. They're saying, I got a $20,000 car for $15,000. The reality is you got a $15,000 car. Because that rebate means that car is only worth the difference after the rebate. So you need to kind of look at what the actual cost is and then look at depreciation and see if you're going to spend a lot more, have a brand new one, or save a bunch of money on a couple-year-old. Like Scott said, the Altima for $12,000.
You have a lower price because the depreciation is gone, and there's a wider selection, right? Because if you go to a Chevy, they're going to carry mostly Chevy cars. If you go to CarMax, they're going to have 400 cars in them. All different makes and models, it's a wider selection. And then the resale value, because of the depreciation, you buy a couple-year-old car, you can then look from there 2 years in the future, and you'll find that the depreciation is only a few $1,000s and not the $15,000.
I have a party. Everyone's afraid of the dealership. So maybe you're thinking of buying a car at Craigslist or Auto Trader online. I've done it before. I bought a car by the party. But you have to remember that you're buying it from someone you just don't know. If you're buying it from your family, great. You know the car's history, you know everything about it. If you're buying it from a private party and you don't know who the person is, or you're buying it from a long distance away, there's all kinds of what ifs. Number one, does that person own the vehicle? Is it a real car dealer like he was talking about before? Or is there multiple people on the title and only one person is signing off on it? So you paid someone for a car that you can't own all the way because someone else isn't there in the picture anymore. You see that a lot where dealerships are trying to get ex-spouses to sign off on titles because they gave the car to the other half, they never signed off on it. So these private party becomes very, you put yourself in a lot of worry on if you can actually own that vehicle or not. The other thing is there still a loan on that car? So if you bought that car for $10,000 but didn't pay off that guy's loan because he went too long in term or didn't put enough money down, who's taking care of that extra $5,000 to get that vehicle out of that person's name? And then you have the whole liability issue. You know, a dealership, they spend millions of dollars building a building. They have all their people that are certified mechanics. They have everyone there to make sure that the car deal is pretty much straightforward. If you're buying it from a person in the garage, or you're buying it from someone you've been at Walmart, you don't know what's been done to that vehicle. You can't go online and give them a bad review and have them try and make it better for you. You're just kind of stuck. So I can say it's possible, done it myself, but it's still one of those things. There's a lot more unknowns on that, and there's a lot less safeguards for you as a consumer. So take that into consideration, even if it's a really good deal.
So mechanical inspection, get the Carfax. I mean, it's $25. It could save you thousands of dollars. So that same expedition that you bought, so you're learning from our mistakes, or his mistakes. So that expedition he bought from a dealer who got it through an auction, where'd it come from? Michigan. It was 3 years old. Great deal on it, right? What do they have in Michigan? Lots of snow, lots of ice, lots of salt, lots of chemicals. Yeah, tailgate was rusting through. 3 years. So have it inspected, take a look at it. What I would recommend is you take it to a mechanic, $100, $125. Have them look at everything. They'll look at the brakes, they'll let you know. Okay, the brakes work fine, right? But maybe it's only at 20%. And in 6 months, you're going to have to replace the brakes. So that's an expense onto the used car. Maybe something is leaking, because you don't know why they're selling the car, right? So maybe they power washed it to hide the leak, and you don't know it, because when you looked, it was fine, but a mechanic couldn't see it. You know, for $100, it's worth it. Even if you're buying at the dealership, a used car, I would recommend having it inspected. Yes, do they have an inspection? Yes. The state law says it needs to be safe. That means the car has to stop, the blinkers have to work. It doesn't say the engine has to run well. It doesn't say how many miles, all that other stuff that we care about. The law doesn't say anything about that. It just needs to know that when it drives off the lot, it's safe. So if you can't afford this, you probably shouldn't be buying the car. This is eye-opening. So some of you may have gone to the credit score seminar, but you can see what the cost of credit is if it's less than stellar. It costs a lot of money. This is a $25,000 loan at 5 years. We just told you the average loan is over 6 years. So all these numbers are actually even higher. I mean, this is a lot of money just to pay on prime credit. But as soon as you fall into here, you're paying $5,000 because you made a few late payments or you had a utility collection. It harms you. So take care of your credit. So one of the things we have, this was pretty funny. So we do a lot of contracts and a lot of business with the dealerships. So we just pulled the first contract we have. So yes, this is how long the contract is. You'll sign 17 times in this particular deal, the legal contract. So this lady purchased a 19 Honda Accord Turn. Pretty average car, right? You're probably not going to turn your head. It's a nice car, but it's not like, oh my God, look at that Porsche going down the street. So she paid $36,000. You said the average new car is $37,000. So she's right in line. This is a basic sedan. This is not an SUV. She traded in a 12 Acura TL with 70,000 miles. That is a really nice car. They gave her $14,000 for it. So that just tells you how the depreciation on cars work. Always going down. So she was minus $2,000 because she had a loan on that car that she traded in. She paid $1,500 for tint, pinstripe, and floor mats. Right? Crazy, right? But she was probably excited about all the gizmos because it's a Touring edition. So it has nav and Bluetooth and lane departure and all that. So she bought Gap. She bought maintenance and a warranty. At the end of the day, she financed $45,000, $400 on a $36,000 car. She was only negative $2,000. The average is higher than that. She has good credit, but she went 84 months, probably because of the payment. She has good credit. Interest rate was 5.49 because of the longer term. Interest rate goes up. Total payments, $55,000. She paid $55,000 for a $36,000 car that she's probably going to trade in 28 months. So buying a car is very expensive. So that's why we're telling you, know what you can afford, do it at the shortest term, buy the car that you need, not that what you want.
The thing to look at on this is that you ask this lady, she's smart, professional, lots of credit, knows what she's doing. But buying a car gets confusing, a lot of things are happening. I guarantee if we called her up and asked her how much she paid for a car, she's going to say $36,000. Maybe $55,000 really, but in the mindset, I'm going to pay $36,000, everything else is just ancillary. You don't really think about it. You're buying the payment, or you're buying the interest rate, or you're buying the car for the price part of it. Well, what you need to do is go in there and get your best deal, and negotiating is part of that process, and most people don't want to negotiate. They fear that. People don't want to go into the dealership and get in someone's face and say, I want a better deal. And the beauty is you don't have to go in front of someone's face to get a better deal. You get the best deal by going online. On the court, okay. So right here in the Springs, we have 2 dealerships. With Denver, we got 8 more. We got 10 stores. So that person would have gone in there on her computer and said, Honda, hit all those dealerships with an email saying, I want a Touring edition Accord, bright red, what's your best price? So we would have gotten a response from all 10 of those stores, probably within about 15 minutes. And a couple of them would have been a little bit better deal. We looked, she paid the window sticker. She got $36,000 for that car.
The invoice is $33,000.
There's $3,000 of room on that car deal. But if you walk in and you say, ooh, it's pretty, I like it, can you get my payment? Great. No one's worried about the car price. So right off the bat, she probably got about $3,000 off of that. The next question is, after you get those dealerships that are working a better price for you, you go, well, that's not the best price I heard so far. What's your real best price? Well, send you back another number. It might be $100 difference, it might be $1,000, but all you have to do is type it on an email or do a live chat with them. Then you bring up your trade. Got this gorgeous Acura. It's only got 70,000 miles on it. One owner. What do you guys think it's worth? They'll come back and give you a number. Okay, we'll give you the most number. Okay, price, that's the number for my trade, I'm getting through the process pretty well. But you're not done. You still want to say, what kind of loan can I get? You can get pre-approved with your lender. Great idea. But you can also have them try and earn in their business as well. So you can apply online with the dealership and they can send it off and see if they can get you a better deal. So you can get the best deal on the car, best deal on your trade, best deal on the interest rate. And what people don't realize is that everything else, the warranties, the gaps, fancy construction that someone costs $1,500, that's all negotiable too. And you can do all that online without ever being in front of somebody. You don't have to worry about being pressured. More worried, you don't have to be worried about being too excited and not realize that you're paying too much for something. So use the internet to your advantage. And then the way that works, they're going to be emailing back to you. So when you go back to that dealership the next day or the next week or whatever, you have a print of how much you're going to pay for the car, how much you're going to give for your trade, what your interest rate is, how much the warranty is, and you can do all the research. You can say that warranty is a pretty good deal, but maybe my own lender sells a warranty and I get a better deal. Or my insurance company sells gap and doesn't put it in my payment. Know the information is way, way, way cheaper than finding out you might have paid too much for it. So definitely use the internet to your advantage. Use it on your phone. Do it at home in your jammies while you're watching Netflix. It is a much better way to buy a car than walking in without any information, getting excited on the wrong thing. I've done times.
And once you've signed, you're done. There is no return policy on a car. A lot of people think there's 3 days. That's if someone sells you a vacuum at your house. You have 3 days. Car purchase, as soon as you sign the contract, you're on the hook. When most people do the research, after they get home, they're like, oh, look, it's cheaper here. You're stuck. You're an owner of this car, they're not going to take it back. So do your research up front. I mean, she's between the pinstriping and, she's probably $4,000 or $5,000 left on the table just on this car deal. Anyone want to guess what her payment is? 84 months? $653. $653. Her insurance, gas, everything else, she's probably paying $1,000 a month for the privilege of driving this car. It's very, very expensive. When you're talking about you don't have a car, there's nothing wrong with that because, that's a lot of Ubers. That's a lot of Lyfts, People get excited, but wants and needs. Any questions?
How does the price at the dealers differ from the company website?
So the manufacturer you can build your car. Is that what you're talking about? So normally that's going to be the manufacturer stated retail price. So that's the top end. That was the $36,000. So as a lender, we require this document, which some dealers may or may not show you. And the MSRP on this is $35,950, but the invoice is $34,000. So all you need to do is use Meta, Kelly.com, or TrueCar.com, and it'll tell you what it will give you this information. So typically there's not a huge markup, it's a couple $1,000s. Dealers aren't making a ton of money off selling their cars. I know it seems hard to believe because their dealerships are so big, but they make the money off pinstriping, floor mats, financing, dealer handling, all that other stuff adds up to way more than the profit on a new car. Used cars are a little bit different because you don't know what they paid for it when you trade it in. But you can get what's value, that should be a good value for that